About 3 months ago, I made a video on this channel saying things were looking really bad for Puka Nacua. We covered an 11-day stretch in December where Puka live-streamed from the locker room against team rules. His brother got arrested for stealing an NBA player's car, and he went on an Aiden Ross livestream where he agreed to do an anti-Semitic touchdown dance and claimed concussions aren't real. Oh, and he got fined 25 grand for criticizing the refs, only to immediately tweet about them again 2 minutes after a heartbreaking loss to the Seahawks. Judging by the comments, you guys absolutely loved that breakdown. So, being the highly self-aware creator that I am, I promised you guys an update. At the end of that video, I told you that over the next few months, we were going to find out who Puka Nacua really is. Well, I hate to say it, but the whole situation just got 1,000 times worse. Some of this stuff is straight up comical, like shooting his shot at Sweeney and beefing with Sam Darnold. But as of yesterday, he's been accused of biting a woman on New Year's Eve and allegedly dropping an anti-Semitic slur at dinner. He is literally being sued for assault and battery, and his own lawyer basically admitted the bite happened, calling it horseplay. All of this is going down while his division rival, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, just became the highest-paid receiver in NFL history. Puka is speedrunning every possible way to fumble a $170 million contract. As someone who started his career covering the likes of Antonio Brown, I gotta admit, this might be the dumbest bag fumble we've ever seen. There are some crazy stories in this one, and honestly, this video will probably get demonetized. So if you want to help keep this in the algorithm, drop a like right now. And if you want to stay updated on all things NFL, hit that subscribe button. We are only 5,000 away from hitting 1.1 million subs. Let's get into it. Let's do a quick recap for those who missed the last video. On December 7th, Puka live streams from the Rams locker room, literally arguing with a teammate who tells him to turn it off. On December 13th, his brother gets arrested for allegedly stealing Lakers rookie Bronny James's SUV and valeting it at the one hotel like nothing happened. A few days later, the disastrous Aiden Ross stream happens. And then, the $25,000 fine for trashing the refs. At the time, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He's 24 years old, thrust into the middle of LA influencer culture. He's more than capable of learning from his mistakes, right? Wrong. He didn't slow down, he hit the gas pedal. The Rams had an incredible 12-5 season. They made a deep playoff run, but fell to the Seahawks 31-27 in the NFC Championship. Puka was amazing. 9 catches, 165 yards, and a touchdown. You'd think this offseason would be all about recovering and getting locked in for next year. Instead, Puka turned his offseason into a Bravo reality TV show. It started on January 30th. Actress Sydney Sweeney does a Cosmopolitan interview where she says her ideal partner is athletic, funny, and would go skydiving with her. Puka immediately quote tweets it. Love skydiving. Here's the hilarious part. Puka has a documented fear of heights. He admitted it at the NFL honors, but he kept the bit going, literally telling reporters he had reservations to go skydiving with her on Wednesday. The problem? Sydney Sweeney, who is reportedly dating Scooter Braun, never responded. Puka was basically having a podcast with himself in her DMs. He even admitted on the One Night with Steiny podcast that he got totally left on red. Now, the Sydney Sweeney thing is just a funny, harmless story. The only reason I bring it up is because it highlights a recurring theme in Puka's life: a total lack of self-awareness. The day after the skydiving tweet, Puka is spotted leaving a West Hollywood sushi spot arm in arm with influencer Hannah Stocking. On February 15th, he's at the Daytona 500 with WWE star Charlotte Flair. Late February, a Topgolf event in LA with influencer Sarah Safari. Then, March 2nd, he's sitting ringside at an LA Kings game with Overtime Megan. So to keep score, Sydney Sweeney, Hannah Stocking, Charlotte Flair, Sarah Safari, and Overtime Megan. All within 5 weeks. On the Steiny podcast, he claimed he's single and just trying to make new friends in LA. But I promise you, this LA networking tour is going to bite him later. And while he was doing this, he somehow made himself the villain of Super Bowl week. After Sam Darnold completed the ultimate NFL redemption arc by leading the Seahawks to a Super Bowl win over the Patriots, Puka decided to tweet a laughing gif at Darnold from his couch. The response was brutal. Former Rams teammate Ernest Jones IV quoted it saying, Ain't you at home, goofy ass? And he's right. Sam Darnold threw 3 touchdowns against Puka's Rams in the NFC title game. Darnold gets a ring, Puka is on his couch tweeting, and he didn't stop there. He went on the Pat McAfee show and compared Myles Garrett, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year who just signed a $160 million extension, to Giannis Antetokounmpo, just to call them both fickle. The man has zero filter. Every thought that enters his brain exits his mouth in seconds. Now, here is why all of this drama actually matters. Puka Nacua was supposed to become one of the most expensive players in NFL history this offseason. On Monday, the Seahawks signed JSN to a massive 4-year, $168.6 million extension with $120 million guaranteed. That's $42 million a year. JSN and Puka are from the same draft class, in the exact same division. JSN just secured his bag, while Puka is currently making, and this is insane, about $500,000 a year after taxes. The man led the league with 129 receptions last year, and he reportedly can't even afford to buy a house in LA. Adam Schefter reported that JSN's deal sets the floor for Puka. We are talking north of $170 million, but guess what? The Rams are hesitating. NFL insiders recently reported that the Rams were in serious trade talks for Eagles receiver A.J. Brown. Why would the Rams, who already have Puka and Devontae Adams, need A.J. Brown? Insider Albert Breer said the quiet part out loud. He wondered if the Rams did this just to give Puka a kick in the up. When your own front office is leaking trade rumors to the media in March to humble you, that is not a negotiation tactic. That is an intervention. They are terrified of his maturity. All right? Here is where things go from Puka needs to grow up to Puka is in serious legal trouble. And a quick trigger warning for this next segment, because things get a bit graphic. On Tuesday, TMZ broke the news that a Los Angeles woman filed a temporary restraining order against Puka based on an incident from New Year's Eve. According to her filing, the group was at dinner in Century City. She claims Puka loudly said an anti-Semitic slur at the table. I need to point out, this is the second time in a 2-week span that Puka was connected to anti-Semitic behavior, right after the Aiden Ross stream. As someone who is Jewish, I mentioned in my last video that this pattern hits a little different for me, but it gets worse. After dinner, the woman claims they got into a Sprinter van. She alleges Puka got overly handsy, dropped his head into her friend's lap, bit her friend's thumb, and then bit the woman on her left shoulder hard enough to break the skin. TMZ even published photos of the bite mark from the court filings. When mediation failed, Puka's lawyer came out swinging. He called it extortion. He said multiple sober Rams players at the dinner denied the slur was ever said. But here's the kicker. The lawyer didn't actually deny the bite. He called it horseplay that left a temporary mark. He basically admitted his client, a grown man and NFL superstar, is out here biting people in Sprinter vans. The restraining order was initially denied pending more info, and now the woman is filing a full civil lawsuit for assault, battery, and emotional distress. Both sides are lawyered up, and the Rams are watching all of this unfold right before they have to hand him $120 million guaranteed. Let's put this into perspective. The Bengals waited to pay Jamar Chase, and it cost them a year of headaches before they finally gave him $161 million. But Jamar's off-field issues were about contract leverage. They weren't about biting people at New Year's parties. I'm not here to bury Puka. On the field, he's generational. He has the most receiving yards per game in NFL history. You cannot teach what he does, but the off-field stuff is getting impossible to ignore. The most frustrating part isn't one isolated incident, it's the pattern. Every time he messes up, his excuse is exactly the same. My awareness was at 0. The locker room stream? 0 awareness. The refs? 0 awareness. The bite? Just horseplay. At a certain point, a lack of awareness stops being an excuse and starts becoming exactly who you are. This works when you're a nobody. But Puka has an entire franchise, a massive contract, and a young son relying on him. The comparison that keeps haunting me is Antonio Brown. And no, I am not saying Puka is AB right now, but the trajectory of a hyper-talented receiver who keeps testing boundaries, assuming his talent will always outweigh the chaos. We know how that story ends. Talent is never the issue with these guys. If you want to see exactly how that path plays out, click the video on the screen right now to check out our full-length documentary on the downfall of Antonio Brown.